Welcome to a little bit of lab rat fun, networking with fish. What we're going to go ahead and do this time is we're going to go ahead and provision the data centers. Now, in the December 2015 YouTube that I had done, it was version 1.01, hot off the presses. And at that point in time, it only actually did one data center. You're going to see now that this will actually do multiple. So what we're going to go ahead and do here, the head end, where we have two front end point of presence, a data center in the background with a DCI interconnect in between. So we have IWAN POP1 MPLS, IWAN POP1 INET, IWAN 2 POP MPLS, IWAN 2 POP INET. So what we're going to go ahead and do is hop into these boxes. I am going to first and foremost suggest that you stop what you're doing, take a screen capture of this, and go ahead and print this out. These are ASR 1002Xs, all four of these, as what will be the BRs up at the head end. They are already existing with EIGRP over to the LAN router here. This is an IWAN core. This is a 4948. This is IWAN core 2 for the second data center, again with a DCI interconnect in between the two. We already have IP addresses going to the ISP, to the MPLS, to the ISP, and to the MPLS. And DMC, by the way, I call that the Domain Master Controller. TMC's Transit Master Controller. That will be for the second hub site. So what we're going to go ahead and do now is, now that you have your printout, is we're going to go ahead and we're going to go right into the IWAN app. I happen to know that this is going to prompt me. So when I actually come in here, this is where we left it off before, when I actually come in here, it's going to prompt me to go ahead and do the settings, and to go ahead and do user settings, and to go ahead and do user settings. So we're going to go ahead, and that's not what I wanted. I wanted, up here it is, the CLI credentials. So the CLI credentials are going to be, username is going to be admin, password is going to be C1SCO123, C1SCO123. The enable password is also C1SCO123, and enable C1SCO123. Now I am telling you that I'm actually doing this completely and totally out of the box. I have done nothing else here. So the name, we're going to call this public, and this is going to be public, whoops the daisy, public, and public, and the right community is going to be private, and private, and private, and save that. And let's see what else we have. Actually, that's it. That's all we have. So we're going to go ahead and go over here. Now, if you expand over here, you'll see all these different things. We're going to go back to the IWAN app. And we're going to go ahead, and you see nothing else is highlighted right now. So I can't actually at this point in time set up a branch site or do any administration or do any monitoring troubleshooting. Hub site is not configured. Please configure the hub sites. Newly discovered devices, sites, scheduled jobs, audit logs. So we're going to go ahead and come into here. And the NetFlow destination collector is going to be 10.101.111.35. That's my prime. And the domain, we're going to call that CPOC.com. And the read community, again, is public. So we're going to save and continue. This is the certified iOS releases, so if we were actually going to be putting into here, you could actually hover over here, upload an OS image. So this would be your certified images for your remote sites. We're not going to be doing that right now. We're going to go to IP address pool. Number of remote sites, let's go ahead and just say that I have 20. Service provider count is 2. Going to add an address pool. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and say that the address that I want the IWAN app to use for tunnel interfaces, for loopbacks, for anything. Again, this is the IWAN app. So for anything that it has to do in the hubs, in the two data centers, I want to use 10.99.0.0. And so if I were to go ahead and say that I wanted to add another address pool, it would say, okay, well, these are the LAN interfaces. So this is actually different sites, and you could actually do, this is an upload address pool, download allocated addresses. So let's do a download address pool. And let's open up this CSV and see what actually is here. So you could see this, you could edit it, you could go ahead and upload this. So what we're going to be doing when we add branches later on is we're going to be actually putting into here what our serial numbers are and other things like this. And this will actually walk you through all of that. So for the LAN IP address, what is the LAN IP address, right? So we're going to go ahead and right now we're going to say, you know what, if somebody comes in and we don't actually give like a serial number or whatever, what would the LAN interfaces be that we wanted them to use? But let's have this be 10.14.0.0. That's actually my favorite number. So we'll go ahead and we'll make anything that we didn't specify be in the 10.14 address as far as a LAN interface is concerned. Now, if you think about it, we're going to have two service providers. So we're going to have public is going to be INET. And are we going to have it metered? What are we going to do? Now we're going to go ahead and we're just going to add another one. And then we're going to do a private, do MPLS. Now what you'll notice here is this says add service providers which will be used to provision hub and branch sites. Check the metered column of a service provider if it will be used as the path of last resort. Only on service provider type of public can it be metered. And also you'll notice that I could add an additional WAN label, but I'm not going to. These are the QoS models. We could go ahead and get into this. We could modify things. We can do lots of things here, but we're not going to. We're just going to go ahead and move on. So now we have our two hubs. By default, again, remember, with this IWAN app, I did nothing. This is how it came up. So right here, we could add a POP. Right now, as you notice, right now we have two POPs. Right here, we could add a border router. We could add a border router to the hub, or we could add a border router to the transit hub. For right now, we're going to go ahead and we're just going to do these. So go ahead and pull out your handy dandy, and we're going to configure our master controller. So the master controller is the DMC at the hub. The hub is the data center on top. So that's going to be 10.101.111.14. And we're going to go ahead and validate. And it's going to say, well, what do you want to use? So we're going to say, okay, I want to use public, whoops-a-daisy, public, private, and because I'm in a cheesy lab environment and everyone teases me about this, I'm using telnet, admin, Cisco 123, Cisco 123, and add the device. So it's going to go ahead and it's going to go out there, and while it's doing that, we're going to go ahead and jump around over here and go into the device that I am adding, which is this device right here. Oops, and I just didn't type these. So admin and Cisco 123. So let's do a show IP interface brief. This is an alias that I have, which is 10.101.114.14. And it is right here. And can we ping 10.101.30.11? And the answer is yes, we can. So we are validating it. And I guess the question is going to become, do I actually have in here my SNMP settings? And the answer is that I don't. So as you can see, this is not going to be working. So let's go ahead and fix that for both the master controller and the transit master controller, because I intentionally did not put it into either one. So if we do a show run, include SNMP. Now we actually have this as a 300-second timeout. If we go ahead and come back here, the following credential checks failed for device 10.101.111.14. SNMP read only, verify credentials, and re-add the device. So let's go ahead and try to add the device again. Now while that's actually going out there, let's go ahead and poke around here. So I'm going to do a show run section alias. And you'll see that I have this SIB, which is the show IP interface brief. You'll also see that I have the SCN. So please take your diagram out, and we're going to do an SIB. So you'll notice that POP1 MPLS has LAN 10.101.2.2 check, just like on our diagram, and WAN is 12.101.101.2 check. Let's go ahead and go to and make sure that we have an EIGRP neighbor to the core router, which we do. So SIB, so our LAN interface shows in our diagram 10.101.3.2, WAN interface is 164.1.2, and let's go ahead and do an EIGRP neighbor. Yep, there. Now let's hop over to POP2, and POP2, I got a little bit funky here, and POP2 MPLS is 10.102.11.2, so I was not consistent, but doesn't matter. My EIGRP neighbor is up. And my WAN interface is 12.102.102.2. Let's come over here, show IP interface brief, 10.102.12.2, and my WAN is 164.2.2, and my EIGRP neighbor is up. So now let's go ahead and go back over here, and we'll see that the master controller is now up. Now what happens is that it will say, it'll be orange, which means we're not done with it yet. So the management IP address is 10.101.111.14. So which is the LAN IP interface? Because you could be using a loopback, right? So we're going to go ahead and say save. This is also an external MC. Are we using an external master controller? Yes, we are. I am a huge advocate on using an external MC and not co-locating that up at the data center head end. So now we're going to go ahead and connect to the internet. So this is the public one. So that means that we're going to actually be going to the one that's connected to the iNet, since my diagram does not match up with this, 101.3.2. And we're going to validate, and we're going to add the device. And again, this is the one that is actually the one that's connected to the iNet. So this is the public iNet one, and it is the non-metered one. So what you'll see is it'll spin blue as it's validating it and making sure that everything is good. Oh, and there we go. So actually, while it's spinning blue, what it's also doing is it's not only checking the credentials, but it's also checking the code version. So it's orange, so it's going to go from the blue and it's going to say pick a LAN interface. And again, our LAN interface is this. So let's go ahead and click save. So let's go ahead, and that's our iNet. So let's go ahead and connect this one here. And this is our WAN interface, and it's doing the process of elimination, and it's saying, hey, you know what? If this is supposedly an already existing hub, then probably you're using maybe the only other thing that has an IP address on here, which is true. 100.64.1.1. I'm not doing a NAT. And for grins and giggles, we're going to go ahead and give everybody 100 meg. 100 meg for everybody. Now, that one doesn't take any time because there's nothing that you actually have to go out, Telnet to, check SNMP to, check code versions on, etc. So now we're going to do the MPLS. If you look at your interface on your diagram there, 101.2.2, and validate. And it's the same credentials, so go ahead and go. Now remember, so what it's going to do is it's going to go ahead and it's going to go out. This is the first time you've added it. It's going to spin blue, checking that all of the credentials are correct, also checking the code version. After it finishes spinning blue, it's going to go ahead and it's going to have this little orange on it, assuming that it's correct, and it's saying, okay, everything is good, there's been no errors, now we're ready for you to go ahead and further configure me. And there we go. And so from this one, it's going to say, well, what's your LAN interface? I'm going to say this is my LAN interface right here. And right here, it's my WAN interface. So this is 12.101. .101.101.1. And I'm not doing any of this. And like I said, everyone gets 100 meg, even our MPLS. Yay. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and go over to the other side. 10.102.111.14. 10.102.111.14, validate. And this is going over and getting the other master controller for POP number 2, which is also a transit POP. It's not the hub POP. Let's just hop over and also look around while we're doing these things. So let's go over to the transit master controller. So let's do a show run section, SNMP. Okay, I did add it. Let's do a show IP interface brief. Let's also telnet to ourselves, because I'm actually going to be coming in, and also let's double check the IP address that I'm using. 10.102.111.14. Admin Cisco 123. Okay, so it is actually that IP address. 10.102.111.14. Ah, you know what? Let's see if we can ping 10.101.30.11. Guess what? I can't ping the domain master controller. So why can't I ping the domain master controller? And that's because I do not have a route to it. Now let's see if we can actually ping. Yep, see? Troubleshooting while we're having fun here. So, again, obviously everyone has to be able to talk to everyone else. Let's make sure everyone else in the POP. POP 2 is good. Show SIR, which is show IP route. And let's see if we can ping 10.101.30.11. And we can actually, because if we look at this, now we're waiting for that to time out. If we look at this, the assumption is that the domain master controller and the transit master controller are absolutely brand new right now. You haven't been using master controllers before. You haven't been using CSR 1000V. And so my transit master controller that's over in 10.102 actually has to get over to the IWAN app. The IWAN app can get back because of the fact that the router right here, which is this router 10.102.111.1, is actually in an EIGRP neighbor relationship with Core 1 in POP 1. But that's not what's actually happening right now. So let's go back over here. And we have timed out. This time, it is the fact that it is not the missing SNMP, it is the fact that we cannot get to 10.102.111.14. And so now if we actually come over here, again, come here, and we can actually ping to 10.101.30.11. So we, the transit master controller, can ping the GUI that the transit master controller, wants to have configure us. So now we're up, we're good, and it's orange, so we pick the LAN interface here, save. So we're going to go ahead and do INET in POP 2. IP address is in POP 2 for INET 10.102.12.2, and validate. So 10.102.12.2, validate, and go. Spinning blue, checking SNMP, logging in, checking code versions, reporting back to make sure that it is a code version that we support. So router, the device does not have a valid image version. So it's actually giving us a problem that it does not have a so it is recommended to fix the warnings before proceeding any further. So what does this mean? So this means it's actually supporting 3.16.1 and above. So what code version is this router running? Let's go and check it out. Yep, I am running 3.16.0.0. So this is some of the stuff that's actually happening. It's going and it's making sure that everything is good. So when it says validate, it's validating all of this. So I'll be right back. We're going to go ahead and fix this. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and look to find out whether or not this one, POP2 MPLS, would have had the same problem. Yes, it would. So let's go ahead and fix these. This again is some of the validation process that's happening. So be right back. Okay, so I'm back. Let's go check on our routers. Show ver. This has been up for 2 minutes. It is running what I refer to as 3.16.2. And let's see if we can ping 10.101.3.11. And I can. Now let's go to the second one. And so show ver. We've been up for 1 minute. Ping 10.101.3.11. So let's go ahead and go back over to here. And we were trying to do the INET one. So it's 10.102.12.2. Now this time it will go ahead and it will pass the code version test. So what have we seen so far? What we've seen so far is the SNMP has to be there. These are part of the credentials that's going to be happening. So LAN interface. So this is part of the credentials that are happening. So over here for this master controller, we noticed that the SNMP, we tried to add it, the SNMP wasn't there, so that was the part of the validation process. And so we added the SNMP in here, and we added the SNMP in here, and then we went over to this one, we went over to this one despite having added the SNMP. It did not have routing back because our transit master controller, the CSR 1000V, is brand new. We don't have it in the EIGRP, unlike the two border routers. And then lastly, we noticed that this router got rejected, and well, there was a warning that came up that said, hey, we really want to run this code version. And we modified that. So now we're going to go ahead and do a 100.64.2.1. We're not doing that. Enable everybody gets 100 meg. And then we're going to go ahead and add our MPLS one. And according to our diagram, that's 10.102.11.2. And add the device. Now, of course, before, this also had the wrong code version. The code version that they recommend is 3.16.1 and above. We were running 3.16.0 over here. So circle blue, then it'll turn orange. Now, as you notice over here, we have a green check mark, so everything has a green check mark. Do notice right here how this one still has a little plus sign. So we're going to be going back over there, but I like to do the routers first. So the LAN interface is this one, and then we're going to come over here. We're going to add the WAN interface, and it's going to be 12.102.102.1. Everybody gets 100 meg. And so you'll notice I have two more things on here. I have this one, and I have this one. So let's go ahead and come over here and see what this is, right? It's got a little plus sign. So this is routing protocol EIGRP. We're actually Autonomous System 14. It's actually already figured that out. The routing protocol and AS number are auto-populated based on configuration from the device. Again, we are expecting, even though the IWAN app right now is for greenfield, when we say greenfield, we're assuming greenfield for the branches. We're also assuming that your hubs are not yet provisioned for IWAN, so we're going to provision them for you. So in case of BGP with conflicting AS numbers, manually configure LAN and routing. In case of EIGRP, pick one AS number if multiple AS numbers are available. So what we're going to be doing is right here we have EIGRP, OSPF, and BGP. This is in configuring the LAN. So we are already EIGRP AS14 for the LAN. So if we go ahead and look forward here, this is the data center prefixes. So at the data center, we have 10.101.115, 10.101.112, 10.101.0.11. So it's going to go ahead and it's going to look and it's going to find, okay, from the LAN routing that it can access 10.101 and 10.102. So these are actually going to be in the data center prefixes, which will then be made into the site prefix list. So we're going to go ahead and say save. Yes, that's what we want to do. If you come over here, same thing, but we have to configure the transit master controller as well. And then we can go ahead and do a save and continue. Now this is going to go ahead and tell us everything that is our overview, so we can go through here and we can check it out. So we have this router and yada yada yada, and you can go all the way down and you can figure everything out and look at everything and go within here. And so what we're going to do is say, you know what, just go ahead and apply now. So, or you could schedule it, but we're going to go ahead and apply now. So you'll see the little thing, the configuration has been successfully submitted. This is actually going to bring you automatically to the web page where you're going to see the little things in the middle going up and saying the hub site is being configured, please wait. So we have one pending and one in progress. We're going to do one at a time, and we will start the stopwatch timer now. So that was 2 minutes and 54 seconds. And we just saw that both are provisioned. So it actually went over to 2 provisions. So what it does is in progress for one, pending of the other. So what we have is we have this ASR 1002X, and it is on this MPLS circuit, and so is this one over here, over on the second pop. They're actually DMVPN now out to the spokes, and they have their borders, and they are going to be configured to actually go up to their master controller. So let's actually see what this looks like. Let's hop into POP2 MPLS. We're going to look at POP2 MPLS, and we're going to see that it has a tunnel interface that has been created. We're actually going to look at the gigabit 005 interface. Now that just had an IP address on it before. Now what the IWAN app has done is it has gone ahead and done everything that you were going to be doing probably, which is put the front door VRF on, best practice, and the tunnel needed. And then you would go ahead and configure this device right here to be a BR, a border router, an Intelligent Path Control PFR v3, talking to its master, which would be here 10.102.111.14. And then this master would actually be talking to the domain master controller. Now, what IP address would we have chosen for the tunnel interface? So that's the 10.99. So here's tunnel 10, it's the 10.99. So the question becomes, why was it 10.99? Well, it was 10.99 because we were over here, and if you recall correctly, for the IP address pools, I said use 10.99 for the generic IP address pool. That's what I said, and so that's what it did. So it went ahead and did 10.99, and we'll also notice if we do a show run section, again, this is an alias domain. We'll also notice that this was done by default as well, which is domain 1 verf default. This is a border source interface, it's the loopback. The master is 10.99.0.68. So who is 10.99.0.68? It's that transit master controller that I actually have down there as a CSR 1000V. So let's do a show domain 1 and then border and status. Now what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for my status to be up, that I'm not shut down. I'm looking for my connection to my local master to be up, and I'm looking for minimum requirements to be met. That's what I always eyeball, just to let you know. So the instance is up, the connection to the master is up, minimum requirements are met. Now let's go ahead and hop over to the master. The master is 10.99.0.68. Now I happen to know that the master is actually the master controller for POP2 because the device that we're looking at right now is in POP2. So we have our local site master. So if we actually do a show run section domain, I'll type it out this time. Whoops, it is show run section domain. Then I am the master of this transit site. These are the site prefixes that were automatically created by the GUI actually going in and figuring out what prefixes you have in POP1, what prefixes you have in POP2. And this is the hub. This is the one master to rule them all. This is the domain master controller. So we can do a show domain 1, and then I'm a master, and then status. So what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for up. I'm looking for connection to be up. And so here we go, we're up, and we actually have our connection where minimum requirements met, and we actually see the border that is going out on tunnel 10, which is service provider MPLS, and the other border, which is going out, which is tunnel 11, and it's INET, and you didn't configure any of this. And so if we go ahead and go back in again, that's pretty much it. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing in the next YouTube, we're going to be doing managing the branches. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a branch. So that's the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a branch. And then after that, I'm going to go ahead and also play with administration application policy. I'll give you a brief little tweak at it now. So this is actually what you're going to do with your applications. What's going to go where? So if you actually come here, this is all your business relevant stuff. And what you're going to do is the default behavior for the IWAN app is to, your primary is going to be your MPLS, that's your private. Your secondary is going to be your INET, which is your public. And that's if you have two paths. If you have other paths, of course, the defaults are going to be slightly different. We only have the two paths. That's all I've tested so far with the IWAN app. And these are going to say I have no preference whatsoever. But that's okay because by default, the IWAN app is also going to be configuring it for load balancing. And that's it. We have gone through. We have taken the IWAN app that is over in Data Center 1 as the hub, POP1 hub site. This is code version 1.10, March of 2016, and we provisioned both data centers at the hub location. And now we're ready to go ahead and bring our branches on. Have a good day. Hope you had fun playing in the lab with networking with fish.